This cash-gushing stock is a pure growth play, with management and insiders owning 60% of shares. A close fund with ties to the Disney family has taken out a stake in the small company, along with Excel Telecom, who is a senior company in the telecommunications industry that services major companies, including the government of Israel and the IDF. The communications revolution is happening right now, and this tiny 30-cent stock is positioned to take over a $10 billion market due to Motorola's recent exit when they were acquired by Google. To learn more about this exciting opportunity, where sales have increased by 50% a year for the past 3 years, visit crushthestreet.com/win.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. We're here at the Silver Summit 2015, and we're with Chris Marchese. He's of Silver-Investor, also known as the Morgan Report. He's an economist, he's an analyst, and he's a guy that's quite frankly exposing the truth about the economy and how it relates to precious metals and mining stocks in general. So, Chris, thanks for joining me today.
Great to be with you.
Chris, we're dealing with crazy times. We've seen the stock market crash a couple months ago, 1,000 points down. Soon after, we saw precious metals rise a little bit. We had a run. We thought they were going to be the glory moment. At least I kind of had that moment where I felt like we were going to see it. And we're back down again. Silver touched 13 yesterday. So what are we currently seeing right now in this environment?
I think the Fed, people want a decision from them. I think, it's already priced in, but once they get it out of the way, I don't think prices will drop if they hike rates 25 basis points. And, they really are kind of stuck in a box. They'll probably be one and done, maybe two and done. I mean, that they might be able to get the Fed funds rate up to 50 basis points. But beyond that, they would cause the economy to falter. I mean, it's already in trouble in real terms. And, it becomes more expensive to service our debt. And because the U.S. is a debt-based economy, they need to issue continuous debt. Now total debt to our GDP is, 360-something%. And by total debt, I mean household debt, government debt, corporate debt, and that type of thing.
How concerned are the big banks about the price of gold and silver? Do you feel that they're manipulating these markets? And how much? Is it a big deal to these government tied in institutions that run the Fed and that are behind the scenes? Do you feel like they actually care about the price of gold and silver?
Oh yeah, they care very much, because high precious metal prices, it delegitimizes the dollar. I mean, if we were at $5,000 gold, who would want to hold dollars? And we're at $100 silver. Why would you want to hold dollars? And I don't think it's individual banks that care. I think they're told to do all this manipulation by, what is essentially a cartelization device in the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. So when it comes to what people can do to protect themselves, are you looking at precious metals mining companies in particular? And what's the state of the current mining stocks at the moment? Obviously, when precious metals get hit, a lot of times these mining companies get hit even more. But where's the opportunity right now with these mining companies?
Well, I mean, our recommendation, or my recommendation, is you first start off with a solid physical holdings, because that's the only asset class you can hold outside the banking system. That's been considered money for 3,600 years. Then you have the mining stocks. Once you have enough physical, then you dip into the mining stocks. But a lot of people go with these penny stocks, these juniors that aren't producing. And what you really want is stocks that are cheap, but they're very high quality. They might not make a run as much as the others would in a high metal price environment, but you could sleep at night, and they'll pay dividends.
Well, these companies are acquiring assets for pennies on the dollar. I mean, we're seeing unprecedented times. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, and I would note specifically with the royalty companies, except Franco-Nevada, that's a little expensive. But if you look at Silver Wheaton or Royal Gold or Sandstorm Gold, they're all very cheap, and they've historically traded at 1.5 to 2 times net asset value. And now they're around 1 time or less.
So getting back to manipulation just for a second, right now we got 300 to 1 in terms of on the COMEX, ready to be delivered. 1 ounce of gold for 300 promises that are out there. Do you see this as an opportunity with the COMEX just being taken down, busted with terms of delivery? Do you see that actually happening, or can this manipulation go on for a long time?
Oh, it can go on for a long time, because if you read the contracts, you can only take delivery of a small amount of contracts, and they always have the option of making you settle in cash. So, that kind of takes away the risk. But anyway, most of the volume is not from people that want to actually take delivery of these contracts. They just trade them or use them they're used for manipulation purposes. And anyway, the bigger market is the OTC, which we can't see.
In what sense of the OTC? The actual people investing in these companies and just diluting the actual price of silver?
Over-the-counter market where derivatives are traded.
Sure.
And, it's not a visible market. They don't have to report, what's going on. We don't know what the net position is, OTC, which is much larger than the COMEX. So, we really don't. The COMEX is just kind of a smokescreen. We don't really know what's going on.
When it comes to actual mining companies, do you see these companies, when someone says, hey, I'm concerned about the dollar, I'm concerned about the state of the U.S. economy, when a dollar goes into an actual stock, do you see that as a dilution of the actual physical metal, or is it separate? Will they have their moment individually?
Oh, they'll have their moment. But
you see what I'm saying? Like the dilution of the physical metal out there, when people are putting their money into maybe a worthless mining company
instead of buying the physical metal,
there's the demand is being taken away from the physical metal.
In that, if you look at it that way, yeah, a little bit, but who knows what they would have done? Who knows if they actually would have bought physical gold or silver with it? Right now, no one's buying miners, so I don't think that's a huge problem. But actually, it's going to cause, silver production this year will be down over last year. Maybe only 1 or 2%, and this trend looks like it'll continue. Remaining primary production, that's mine production, remaining flat or even dropping over the next few years, because 65% of total silver production comes from base metal mines, and copper, for example. That thing's been taken out back, and a lot of there are a lot of projects that are still moving forward, a lot of mega mines, but there are also a lot of mines that produce copper mines that produce silver and gold with it that won't be economical.
What's the average cost of production for silver at the moment, with silver trading at $14?
Well, we did a study 3 years ago, and for the lowest 75% on the cost curve, it was about $21.
The lowest price to produce?
Yeah, the lowest 75% on the cost curve.
Okay.
And
what about the highest?
$30.
Wow.
The lowest quartile, so the lowest 25%, that was around 18 or so. But you have to remember, 15% of a mining company's costs are energy costs. So with
oil's down.
the drop in oil, their costs came down as well as other input costs to build their machinery and that type of thing.
So honestly, if I was to be like an honest opinion, the industry right now, there's no money in it other than what it could potentially happen in the future. So when you look for a company to invest in, what are you looking for? What sort of potential are you looking to acquire at these current valuations? Because obviously you're selling a product at a loss. Like, in that sense, it's a horrible business.
Well, that's the thing. You don't want to buy mining companies that are losing money right now. Companies you want to buy now, you want them to either be losing a very small amount of money but have a large cash position so they can continue to survive in this market if it continues another year or even more. Companies that are breaking even, or there are even some companies that are making some money. So you want to look for that, and it's actually safer to buy on the way up. So when the metals price rebounds, it's safer to buy stocks at a higher price, just because they're not going to go under, and you'll still make a very good amount of money without all the risk.
David Morgan, he said something on an interview that I was actually listening to. He said, it's better to be 6 months too early than a minute too late.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with a lot of the people that are here at the moment. That's a lot of us feel like maybe we were just a little too early on some of these investments. But just with maybe your last thoughts on thriving in this current environment and just some inspiration, because I feel like when we look back 5 years from now or 10 years from now, we're going to be like, wow, what an opportunity it is in 2015 to be able to
didn't I buy more?
Right, because on the way down, it's like, I don't want to lose any more money, right? I don't want to get beat up anymore. That's the feeling looking forward. But when we look back, that'll be the regret, right? Just any last words?
Yeah, so it's, everyone says, I'm a contrarian investor, that type of thing. But this is actually being a contrarian. It's not easy. It's very difficult. It goes against all the humanness in us. We prefer everything now instead of in the future. I mean, that's just a natural, that's human nature. But, see, if you have the will and you know why you're buying gold and silver, and you believe in why you're buying it, then, it's easy to buy and accumulate down at these levels. So you just have to have that mindset. It's the people that don't really believe, the people that have, bought at $30 silver and sold at $15 or $16 silver, instead of adding more, which would have been the smart thing to do, and then adding even more, down at these levels. So, it's just believing in, what you're
believing
buying.
in the inevitable.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris Marchese with the Morgan Report. Check him out at silver-investor.com. Chris, thanks so much for taking the time with me today.
That was my pleasure.
Absolutely.